Welcome back to Sunday Vibes, one and all. We're back in the pub. No Patrick Van Straten today. He's off doing some madness. Chris Hamill's still in South Africa, so instead we've called up a very tired Zach Jalab. We finished streaming last night for Man United Barcelona at like 10:30ish.
Thank you for watching.
11. Very tired and a very fresh, goatee-driven Doogie.
Rafa Benitez inspired.
I love it.
Poll right now, should Doogie keep the goatee?
Yeah, I'm easing into it at the moment. Still a bit on the side.
I love it. I reckon go full out.
Do you reckon?
Rafa soon. Let's go straight into the title question though. This one was sent in by Edison Hoda. He says, who do you think will win the PFA Player of the Year? Some strong candidates out there. Dukes, who are you pitching in?
Yeah, I think there's some fantastic candidates out there. And to be totally honest, I'm not too bothered. I'd be very happy with a number of players winning it. But I think, to be honest, it's between Van Dijk and Sterling. And if I had to give it to one of them, I'd probably give it to Van Dijk. Obviously, he came in the January before this one, made a massive difference in the back half of that season. Arguably Liverpool's best bit of business, or one of the best transfer businesses of all time, getting rid of Coutinho, not getting rid of him, but getting 140 million for him, replacing him with Van Dijk, also using that money to bring in Alisson. Liverpool have sold so well over the last few years. It's one of their most underrated qualities. Van Dijk has came in, was awesome from January to May last year, and then this year he's just been absolutely immense at the back for Liverpool. Statistically, his numbers aren't exceptional in the way that a team that didn't have so much of the ball would be. He only averages 2.2 interceptions per 90, but he wins something like 75% of his aerial duels. Liverpool have gone from conceding 0.94 expected goals a game last year to 0.68, which
crazy.
is a massive drop-off.
Huge. And a third.
And obviously, we can attribute some of that to, obviously, Trent's had another year of development. Robertson looks even more assured than he did in the back half of last year. And obviously, they've recruited a world-class goalie in Alisson. But I'd say the most crucial reason why Liverpool are right up there with Man City at the moment, which not many people predicted that they would be this close to the end of the season, is Van Dijk. I think they've been absolutely exceptional, particularly at the back. They've only conceded 20 league goals, which is a fair few fewer than Man City. And he's just been awesome, comfortably in the discussion, if not the outright best defender in the world, I'd say. At least on form this year. And yeah, I'd give it to Van Dijk, although I would be very happy, I have to say, if Sterling won it as well.
Yeah, I think Van Dijk's a great shout. Jalab, who are you saying?
Oh, well, I'm going to take Sterling. It's got to be either or between them two, to be honest. Sterling is still only 24 years old.
How old is Van Dijk though?
Ridiculous.
25?
27.
27? Oh my God,
he's older than you think.
He's older than I thought he was.
He spent too long at Celtic, to be honest.
Yeah,
Should have moved earlier. 24 now, and to be honest, this has been his best season for club and country this year. His first two Premier League seasons at City, in 15-16, he got 6 goals and 2 assists. The next one, he got 7 goals and 6 assists. Last season was mental, 18 goals and 11 assists.
Yeah, really exploded.
And to be honest, probably the reason why he wasn't winning it then was because KDB had an absolute madness. And this season he's dropped off a bit. But Sterling this season is arguably even better than last season, with at the moment 15 goals and 9 assists currently in 28 appearances for City, with City still having 6 games remaining. Yeah. I think last season it was very much a team effort between all of City, whereas this season I feel like he's become kind of the shining light for City and represented them the best, especially when they have suffered injuries to people like Kevin De Bruyne.
And
Aguero. David Silva has also performed very, very well, and I would be fine with him also being in the equation for it. But Sterling, and I know it doesn't count, but the way he's also had to deal with, say, the media pressure, or the things when he spoke about racism.
That should count. That should count for him.
Do you think?
It should, but then I'd also think it's harsh because this is just about the football. Like the PFA Player of the Year is just about the football, because it's kind of like Van Dijk hasn't had to deal with that, because it's not necessarily fair if you look at the media and stuff like that. That's a whole other award. That's a personality award.
I kind of agree, but equally I think the things that Raheem Sterling has done off the pitch are so important that they do count for him.
I agree as well, 100%.
I'd say that they are incredibly important, and well done him for becoming this sort of icon for anti-racism, and someone needed to do it, and he's really stepped up in that front. But I think it's got to be about the football. I mean, it's a bit like Ryan Giggs when he won PFA Player of the Year when he was nowhere near at his best. It seems more like a sort of honorary award,
Yeah.
and it sort of diminishes it if you don't judge it purely on football terms, is what I'd argue.
It's kind of harsh as well because at the same time, like Van Dijk hasn't had the same opportunity to say and do this kind of thing in the media, whereas Sterling has, and obviously Sterling unfortunately has had to deal with it. But in this case, because he should win the BBC Personality Sports Person of the Year. That's what he should win if it's about that side of things.
But I'm saying Raheem because I think he has had to deal with off the field pressure on the field, and that has probably weighed on his shoulders more than people realise. And I'm not saying it's hard to equate that to a statistical number or anything like that, but that surely gets taken into people's accounts that Raheem Sterling has had to deal with on the pitch as well as off the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, it's players voted. Like they would have seen the stuff in the headlines on Instagram.
Is that how it is? Players voted? Is that how it's?
Yeah, it's players voted.
It's players voted.
If it's players
So
voted.
Van Dijk said he voted for Sterling.
He did. Van Dijk did say he voted
Sterling
for
said he
Sterling.
voted for his obviously his national captain Kane as well. The one
Have
thing
a day off.
Yeah, I know. But that's just, he was like, I can't remember who I voted for. I think it was Harry Kane. But fair play Van Dijk for actually voting with his head and not just his heart. But the one thing that I'd go against Van Dijk, just going back to him briefly, is there's almost become a complete obsession by Man City and Liverpool fans, either putting him up on this enormous pedestal or taking him down.
Yeah.
It's almost like the cult of Van Dijk. Everyone is looking at every single action. I remember he made a mistake in that game against Fulham, and Man City fans instantly are all over social media being like, Van Dijk who? And then he does a good defensive action against
and it's the best thing
Spurs,
you've ever seen.
closing off the option when Moussa Sissoko is running through, and exactly, it's like Maldini reborn.
I actually saw people going, who's a better defender? Who is a better defender, Rio Ferdinand or Van Dijk? And it's like, well, Rio across the course of his career. Van Dijk's been at the top of his game for 2 seasons.
That move, I still stand by it. Like I could have done that. You're just defending the space. You're just defending the space. Seriously, though.
I've seen you in sevens. You have no positional sense.
No, 11 is my game. We won't go on to 7. 7 is harder. 11.
I can't believe you just said that.
No, because it is like in that scenario.
It is the basics of defending.
Like you're the last man. 2 attackers are at you. Don't go and rush to the ball.
Yeah.
Defend the space and then give him a harder option.
And let
put
the
him out
person,
wide.
weaker at shooting onto their weaker foot.
Exactly.
I thought it was kind of standard. But there are also some fantastic other candidates as well. I mean, we've got to give a shout out to Eden Hazard. Probably the single most important reason behind any team's success. I was about to say success, but Chelsea's sort of success this year. 16 goals, 12 assists.
I mean, you would be totally without him.
Imagine. Like I don't even want to think about where we'd be. Like the amount of times he's gotten us out of like tough spots. I remember, was it Brighton? No. There's a game we were losing to, and Brighton, I think, and he scored in the last minute.
Yeah, I remember that as well. I remember the screamer against Liverpool that gets you through.
Potential goal of the season against West Ham on Monday as well.
Yeah, I mean, incredible feat, and he has some incredible numbers.
I mean,
Obviously,
he'll be
16 goals, 12 assists in 32 appearances this season.
I mean,
does anybody really see him staying this summer?
He's been a club servant. Like he's stayed way beyond his means. Like he could have easily gone to Real Madrid or another team a couple of seasons ago, and
nearly 4 dribbles per night now. 3.9 dribbles per 90 this season.
It's mental. I reckon
only Adama Traore is completing more, and he's just a dribble monster.
It's mad. I reckon he will. I reckon he will move to Real Madrid.
Yeah, so do I. I think if we've been honest, I think
he deserves it in a way.
And even the way like Sarri's like talking about it, where he's just like, look, if he wants another challenge or he wants to move on, we can't really stop him from it. Like he does deserve it. He's been our best player in seasons.
The only thing that I'm thinking is that Chelsea, obviously he's got another year on his contract and they would hate for him to leave for free. But if they just flat out refuse to sell him this summer with the transfer ban,
they can't afford to.
But then this summer, Real Madrid signed 2, possibly 3 forwards, probably 2. Next summer, the landscape is slightly different. By then, who knows? Hazard will be 30.
Everybody's going to want him still.
But
for free, Eden Hazard.
No, but I think what he means there is that
PSG are going to be licking
he might
be persuaded to sign a new contract.
No. But I also think the other issue as well is Hazard is...
Actually, with the year of no signing players, no, probably not.
Hazard is someone who I do think, if you annoy him, like we've seen it with managers, if you annoy him, he will just kind of
Oh mate,
Take the piss a little.
he's
Like, he
Zidane's
won't
bread and
perform.
butter.
Yeah.
And I don't know how he fits him in with Vinicius Jr. It's going to be an interesting...
And they've got Rodrigo coming in
It's going to be an
next season.
interesting watch, but I cannot see any way that he doesn't join Real Madrid this summer.
Also, potentially be a massive cut down price as well. It'll probably be 60, 70
No,
million.
I reckon
They'll still get
100
There's
mil
only a
minimum.
year left on his
I
contract.
think
100 mil
100,
minimum.
because Sarri said in his press conference the other day, didn't he, that 100 million is too cheap for him.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be well over 100.
That'd
I
be
think we're talking
crazy
sort
for
of
a player
Ousmane
with 1 year
Dembele.
left.
Sort of Ousmane Dembele numbers. I think we're probably
Do you
talking.
reckon?
And then Pulisic and Hudson-Odoi next season on the wings. Perfect.
This is
We're
still
going to win
pretty
the league.
exciting. There's a few other players I think we've got to mention. 2 Manchester City players. Sergio Aguero,
Yes.
still firing. Obviously, he said at the start of the season, didn't he? I feel the best I've felt in the last 4 or 5
Fair
years.
play.
That now I've had that knee surgery, and he's showed it. 19 goals, 7 assists in 27 Premier League appearances is unbelievable going.
He's been so good for so long, consistently now for season after season after season. And I remember there was a point where he would always pick up a couple of injuries, and you'd think, oh, okay, maybe this
But he's had that this year
is
as well,
it.
man.
Exactly, and this is it. He comes back even better, and you're just
I know.
like, what's going to
It's
stop
crazy. You
him?
know, he's an absolute shot monster. He's taking over like nearly 4.5 shots per 90.
Is that like
Crazy.
Ronaldo?
I think
Not
only
quite, but it's
only
near.
Gabby Jesus is averaging more expected goals per 90.
Yeah.
Which just shows you
Gabby's
everything
at
you need to know
0.8
about
and
Man
he's at-
City's team.
Gabby's
as
at
well.
0.8 and he's at 0.75. So even that's pretty bloody close.
I've just been so impressed with the way how, when Gabby Jesus came into the side and had that incredible first 6 months, pretty much, or incredible first 4 months, and then I think he got injured. Everyone was like, oh, this is the end of Aguero. There was rumours of Pep not really thinking that Aguero was good enough for his system. And now you hear Pep saying that he's the nicest player he's ever worked with, that he's like a true professional, which is something that I've always, heard rumours that he wasn't the best trainer. I think Frank Lampard said he was one of the worst trainers he's ever worked with, but was just an absolute matchday beast.
Yeah.
And the way he sort of redefined himself and changed his game to fit into Pep's system, and is still pulling out these incredible numbers. I fear for him that he'll never win PFA Player of the Year, just because the injuries go against him. And
Yeah.
this year,
I mean,
he's not one of the favourites.
Didn't he
but
only get in the team of the
should-
season last year?
Yeah,
the first
I think
time
he's
ever,
only been in
which
one
is,
team
like,
of the
mental.
season.
Which is insane. There's a couple other shouts I think people will be saying at home. Bernardo Silva,
Yeah.
who has filled a number of different roles. He's the dream Pep Guardiola player, an absolute system man,
Fair
plays in a number of different roles, a number of different positions with ease.
Yeah.
So you could argue Bernardo Silva.
And the way he's filled in with
KDB's
how they
injury.
can still
Yeah.
win the title with Kevin De Bruyne having a very mediocre season by his own standards.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
he has
quite
had
incredible.
injuries. Like,
Yeah.
like-
But when he has played, I don't blame him. It's not easy
Sure.
to come back
But
from
Bernardo's
massive
got
injury.
13 goal contributions in 30 games.
Awesome.
You would never have thought you'd see the day that when Bernardo Silva joined from a Monaco side that he operated as kind of a winger 10 hybrid, you'd ever see him playing in a more central midfield role, sometimes as a wing back, and putting up numbers of like over 2 tackles and interceptions per 90 this season across all competitions.
He just loves football. Like the man, I think that's why Pep likes him so much. Is that how versatile he is and how much he just runs. Like there've been games this season where make sure you check that man. It's ridiculous.
I think he put
how
in
much he's running. All
the
time.
outstanding performance of the year in that victory over Liverpool.
Yeah.
I think he ran something like 14 kilometres.
Yeah, it was
couldn't believe
14.2
it.
It
kilometres.
was absolutely mental, and that was a crucial swing in the title race. Because I think if Liverpool won that, they would have gone 10 points clear at the start of January, which is a long way back to come. And instead, it changed back to something like 5. I can't quite remember, but yeah, Bernardo Silva, massive performances at crucial times, and puts in massive defensive work as well. I think he's averaging something like 2.5 tackles and interceptions,
Yeah, it's insane.
something close to 2 shots, 2 key passes a game. Just an all-round great footballer.
Yeah, incredible. So let's get the people at home's vote on who they think is going to win the PFA Player of the Year. Will it be Sterling or Van Dijk? We've identified those two as the key candidates. You can vote in the poll up there. We're going to quickly move on to Young Player of the Year now, because this is way more difficult to call.
Yeah.
Any player under 23 is eligible, as far as I understand. I mean, there's shouts for James Maddison. First season
And
in the Premier League.
deservedly so.
First season in the Premier
Deservedly
League.
so.
Incredible numbers for Leicester City. I think he's only going to get better under Brendan Rodgers. What have you made of his first campaign, Dukes?
Yeah, I think he's been awesome. I think I've never seen a player come up from the Championship and make such an immediate impact. Everyone was talking about him last year at Norwich, and he had a great campaign there, but I just wasn't expecting this level of performance. The way he moves the ball, I think only Willian is creating more chances per 90 than him in the Premier League, which is kind of surprising. I didn't expect that at all, but that might be in less minutes.
Yeah.
He's got an awesome over set pieces as well. The only thing that you could sort of criticise him for is that a lot of his shots do come out from outside the box. But then I think that's a result of Leicester City's system for large parts of this season was quite defensive under Claude Puel. They didn't create that many clear-cut opportunities. But the way he links up outside the box with players like Vardy, and it's a really exciting time for Leicester.
Mate, that's one of the most exciting midfields you'll see for an outside
if
top
they can get
team.
Tielemans.
If they can get Tielemans and have Tielemans, Ndidi and Maddison as a midfield three, all under the age of 22?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the most exciting midfield threes in the Premier League. Definitely. Flies all over.
Throw into the mix Harvey Barnes, Ben Chilwell, Harry Maguire. They've got a very... Well, Harry Maguire's not that young anymore, but a really solid base to go forward for the next few years. They just need to replace Vardy effectively when that time comes.
Well, it's just such a shame that Kelechi Iheanacho never hit the ground running. When Kelechi Iheanacho left Manchester City and was running at numbers of nearly an expected goal per game at Manchester City as a substitute, such were his limited minutes, we all thought, including Van Straten, was hyping Iheanacho. Yeah. It's just not happened.
I really wonder whether it's a sort of attitude thing with him, because I can't see anything technically about why he doesn't get this run of games. And even when he's played for Leicester, it just hasn't really clicked for him. So I wouldn't like to put it against someone having a bad attitude unless I have good knowledge on that. But I've got no idea why it hasn't really worked out for him, and I hope he gets another move because he's too big a talent to sit on the Premier League bench.
What about Leroy Sané, Jalab?
I mean, Leroy Sané is kind of like a young CR7.
Oh,
in the way how he starts on the left
big
wing.
quote.
He's a tall, he's 6'1", exact same height as Cristiano Ronaldo. Loves to take on a man like Ronaldo did when he was younger.
But he's nowhere near as good in the air. Not as much of a physical.
I mean, was Ronaldo great in the air when he was younger?
Yes.
At 22.
I mean, he left Man United at 23 or 24, and he scored 40 goals in the season.
Okay. I said like. I didn't say is.
Let's go.
Anyway,
it's not the
it's still
worst
there,
shout, but it's
got
a bit
a
far
way
now,
to go.
It's a bit far now.
He won a Champions League at 23.
Yeah.
Okay. Leroy Sané might win a Champions League at younger.
Okay,
this season.
you might be right,
know.
but if he's as influential as Ronaldo is in that campaign, I'll be surprised.
I mean, currently Leroy Sané's expected goal or assist at 0.7 per 90, which is mental. 0.75.
That is great.
He's also completed nearly 3 dribbles
But
a game.
still doesn't start every game.
But then that
That's a lockdown
City side in general is just no one necessarily, apart from say Aguero and Sterling, are starting every single, and Fernandinho are starting every single game. The left wing spot is changing all the time. And Sané sometimes gets a run in, then he picks up a little knock, isn't out, and then finds it hard to get back into the squad. I also wouldn't be that surprised to see Sané leave City in a year or two, because he isn't getting a run in all the time.
I'm really surprised there hasn't been more talk about Bayern Munich being very interested in Leroy Sané.
But they'd have to spend so much money.
German national.
But they've spent so much money already, 80 something million on Hernandez. Yeah. They're looking to spend even more.
Pavard.
Exactly.
But equally, they're desperate to sign wide replacements for Robben and Ribery. Leroy Sané could arguably operate on both wings, obviously prefers the left-hand side. They've got Serge Gnabry and Kingsley Coman. If they're going to go and spend big on a winger, there aren't many better options that profile as well as Leroy Sané that they could probably tempt, because Leroy, I think, could be tempted.
But City aren't accepting anything for anything less than 150 mil.
But if you could get Leroy Sané, I would argue if you could get Leroy Sané for Ousmane Dembele number sort of price tags, I think that's a good buy.
It's a great
I really
buy.
think that's a good buy because he's so young. He's a German national, so you don't have to worry about EU quotas. He comes in and can play both wings. I think he's got 18 goal contributions in the Premier League this season.
I just don't see Bayern Munich spending that amount of money. They've never been a club that spend until this season.
Yes, but this season they spent 70 million on Theo and Luke Hernandez.
Because they've been saving it up now for the past couple of seasons, and they've splashed it out on all these players. I mean, you're 150. City don't have to say yes. They don't need the money.
I think he's on quite a long-term contract.
Yeah.
I just slightly worry for him because he's not seemingly loved by Pep. There's been even left him at the start of the season after the World Cup, and I thought this was Leroy Sané's season almost in a way. And he has been exceptional when he's played, but he still hasn't got as many minutes as many others of their attackers. And then Joachim Löw, obviously left him out of the World Cup squad. I would be building a side around Leroy Sané for the next few years. That door's just creaking in the background.
Any chances?
Apologise.
But yeah, it's a disappointing. It's been. It's weird to say, but I'm slightly disappointed with Leroy Sané's numbers and not his contribution, but how it's going for.
But
Leroy
he's
Sané.
still going at nearly 0.8 key expected goals and assists.
But he's still not getting enough minutes.
Yeah, that's the issue. He's not getting enough minutes who's playing ahead of him at the moment? Sterling.
Well, Mahrez started against Spurs.
Yeah, I mean, Mahrez is just a jet line. Why that move ever happened is ridiculous.
Well, not disastrous.
Not disastrous.
But I mean,
But maybe it's the same. Maybe it's the same thing then, as we said possibly about Iheanacho. Maybe it's the attitude. Maybe maybe.
Well, Pep said a few times, hasn't he, about him being an individualist and him preferring role players. So it'll be an interesting summer, I think, for him. A few other names I want to throw out to you. If you want to get your immediate reaction: Trent Alexander-Arnold, Wan-Bissaka, David Brooks, Marcus Rashford.
David who? Brooks who?
Yeah, I know.
We said at the start of the
It's so
season.
funny. If you go back to the first episode of Winners and Losers this season, Brooksy scored, and me and Chris Hamill were like, who is this guy? Literally, who is he?
We called him a regen.
We called him a regen, and now he is killing it this season.
Fair play to him.
Yeah, at Bournemouth
He's
as
been
well.
so good.
So influential in that 4-4-2 that Eddie Howe is operating. Who's calling me here? Don't know, random number. But Eddie Howe's 4-4-2 this season with Ryan Fraser, Brooks on either wing. It's just been brilliant. Brooks running like 0.4 expected goals and assists this season.
Yeah, he's been awesome. I think, another one like Maddison came from Sheffield United, really hit the ground running in the Premier League, gets into useful goal-scoring positions. I mean, his numbers aren't outstanding in any area.
They've tailed off a little bit.
Slightly tailed off. But I think it'll probably be Ryan Fraser that gets a move this summer. There's still so much talk about Arsenal.
I don't think any of them are going to move.
You don't think?
No, I really don't think any of them are going to move. I don't think Fraser is of the level of Arsenal, man. I really think he's
I don't know. I think he's a step up. I think he's a step up on Iwobi.
Iwobi's young, a lot younger.
Yeah, a fair bit younger.
I think Fraser has about found his level, that sort of mid-table level. I think that's
Get
fine
him to
for
Watford.
him. That's fine. That's no shame. We will mention Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who has been
100%.
arguably the best fullback in the whole of Europe this season. An absolute freak at right back, putting up tackle and interception numbers nearly like over 7 tackles and interceptions per 90. I think he's the interception leader in Europe for under 21s.
He'll be there next season as well. Like,
I'm not sure he will.
You think he's going to go this
absolutely
season?
Yeah, I really think he'll go this
To
season.
who?
I think
United
United are probably going to go in extremely heavy for him.
Really?
Obviously,
see
really
at least
need a
one more
replacement
season.
for he who shall not be named, and also they won't want to risk leaving it another season, is my personal opinion, where he has another season of development. If he has another season like this season, it's going to be chaos trying to get Aaron Wan-Bissaka out of
Sure,
Palace.
but I think you'd be able to attract him. I think the issue here is maybe it is a fluke season, or maybe it is. He's so young.
Is it? I mean, you look back to the season before this season, where he got into the squad around sort of March time. Play his first 4 games were against like Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham, and he won the Player of the
And
Month.
Man United, I think. I think it's Man United, Chelsea, Spurs.
He was insane then. He only started operating as a defender when he broke into the first team. He was a right winger before that. Imagine how much better. He's amazing defensively. You know, we've talked about his tackles and interception numbers. We've talked about his defensive positioning and his speed of recovery. But him in a more attacking side, where they're not Crystal Palace, sort of sitting back, that he could be deadly going forward as well.
Has he picked? He's English, isn't he?
He's English as well, so he's homegrown. I think Man United are going to go into the tune of at least £50 million this summer.
I mean, Palace as well would bite your hand off for that.
I really think that Aaron Wan-Bissaka could well become the most expensive.
That'd be such an exciting sign.
I think he'll be the most expensive fullback of all time come August.
Wow, love it. You heard it here
I really do. I think
more than Walker's what? 50,
Walker was 52, I think.
What about another, you know, on the topic of United, what about another shout for Young Player of the Year in Marcus Rashford, Joe? Only come into his own really for 6 months, but it has been a pretty good 6 months.
Pretty good 6 months. I think he's got 10 goals, something like that in the Premier League, 6 assists, which is pretty impressive. 16 goal contributions in the league, probably his best season. Don't quote me on that to date. My issue is that whilst he's been good, you know, a lot of it has come in this sort of post Jose Mourinho, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer resurgence, which saw everybody suddenly just take their game to the next level, and clearly a positivity sweep through the camp. I am concerned that he's playing too many games at his age. I think there is an issue for Marcus Rashford that he's playing every minute of every game, week in, week out, and that is going to come back to bite him at some stage, because you know, we've seen it happen in the past with players like Michael Owen. I'm not saying Rashford's anywhere near the level Owen was when he was a teenager, by the way, but Marcus Rashford is playing consistently through injury. We saw him play through injury against Arsenal. He played through virus against Barcelona. He had to pull
Does
out
he have a virus at the
Yeah, he
moment?
had played through.
Didn't know
Well,
that.
he had the flu against Barcelona and still played. He's being forced to play because our other options either aren't good enough or are also injured, and that would worry me. The amount of minutes he plays.
You don't
a
want-
20-year-old.
You don't want him to start
19-year-old.
picking up injuries now, kind of like
Concerning.
Owen did, and you also don't want him to go through burnout.
Yeah,
Because remember, he
I
played
think this is a
World
bit
Cup.
pessimistic, though. I think he's been playing he's really enjoying the run of games.
Of course he is, And do you know something that he's really enjoying is playing as an out-and-out 9. This is the first time
Exactly.
we've
Keep it
genuinely
going.
seen it happen at Manchester United under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tutelage. He's decided that he's probably the number 1 9, and Solskjaer and Lukaku's a backup or a duo partnership up front, and that's going to help him because he is definitely a 9, not a winger. I think Martial's more of a winger, better when he's running at players. Rashford's better when he's running in behind players. But still, too many minutes. It's just
Fair.
too many minutes for me
many
right
minutes.
now. And then obviously Trent. Should we just mention Trent?
Oh,
Because
what a
he's
man.
just so
Again,
good.
another teenager who last season, fantastic. This season, even better. Like, especially for young English talent right now. Don't look anywhere but England.
Yeah.
Like, the talent that is there is
I mean, look
fantastic.
at right back alone. Wan-Bissaka.
I've just
Trent.
thought of another name. That I think is a serious contender for this award. I think Guendouzi really does stand a chance of taking this award.
100%.
I think he's just outside it. I think he's had a great year, especially from where he came from last year, playing for League 2, in League 2 even. No one expected it. I think he was signed for £8 million. He was just expected to have a year in the reserves, then build up to the first team. And yeah, he's been great. Yeah, he shows rashness in certain situations. He's not positionally the best yet, but who would be at 19?
Exactly.
But the sort of courage he shows on the ball, his willingness to get about the pitch, his tackle, his interceptions numbers I think are over 3. He's been really good. But for young player of the year, I don't think he's quite there yet.
Okay, let's get our predictions then for player and young player. Doogie.
I would say, for me, I hate it that they always do the announcement before the league is won.
Yeah, 'cause
it's stupid.
It
But
depends.
predict it. Let's have a prediction.
I'll go Van Dijk and Leroy Sané won it last year, didn't he? It was James Maddison maybe.
Oh, Van Dijk and Madison.
Sterling, either Wan-Bissaka or Madison. Sterling and Wan-Bissaka.
I'm going to go for Sterling and Rashford. I think
Rashford's
Rashford's
again.
Times for
So
England.
those are our predictions. Let us know your predictions for Player of the Year and Young Player of the Year in the comments below, and don't forget to vote in that poll I told you to earlier. Let's move on to what is it? Quickfire questions now?
Yeah.
Something like that. Quickfire questions. I hope the door doesn't creak anymore. Apologies. Moving on then to quickfire questions. The first one was sent in by Earl General, something like that. He says, out of the top 6 Premier League teams, who's got the best centre-back partnership?
Oh,
Not
goodness.
centre-back, centre-back partnership.
Oh,
Difficult one, because you don't really see many teams in the top 6 in the Premier League have a single partnership anymore. You've got Manchester City employing heavy rotation. You've got Tottenham Hotspur with probably an outstanding partnership in Jan Vertonghen and Alderweireld, also featuring Davinson Sanchez now and then. Arsenal obviously don't. Man United obviously don't. Chelsea obviously don't. And
what do you mean? David Luiz
And
and
Liverpool have a
Rudiger all the
singular-
time.
Yeah, Liverpool have the best centre-back in Van Dijk, but you'd probably say Man City with Stones and Laporte is probably the best combination, at least for their style of play as well. I don't think any other centre-backs, well, very few centre-backs in Europe could play that style of play so effectively. I think Laporte in particular, because Stones has had a few injuries, has been right up there with one of the centre-backs of the season, really, even though he's had injuries at times as well. So I'd probably go, Man City's, and then probably Spurs. Although if they lose Toby Alderweireld,
Do you
this
think they're
summer,
going to?
I think they will. Yeah.
Yeah, I do as well.
Oh, I thought the question was about
I totally agree.
outside of the top 6.
No.
I was thinking about Watford and Everton. And I was like, who's Watford's 2 centre-backs?
No,
Um,
do you think they're going to keep Toby? Can they keep Toby?
No. I mean, if that 1 month
There's 1
There's
month.
1 month where
31 days, I think it's over.
where he's about £25 million you can buy him for, and if you're Manchester United,
Yeah,
you
you got
offer
all
him
guns.
300,000 quid a week, 250.
I think you end, but I,
He comes.
I think
Yeah,
if you're Man United though, you aim above Alderweireld though.
No, but you get him in anyway.
Yeah.
If you're Man United, in my
25
opinion,
mil
you
for
let
Toby
Marcos Rojo go. You probably let one of Jones and Smalling go. I can't remember which one hasn't agreed a contract. Whichever one that is will probably be let go. And then I think you go out of Alderweireld and then you punch for a massive centre back.
What? So you go for someone like Koulibaly or Skriniar,
Koulibaly, 100%.
Alderweireld, Bailly, and Lindelof and Smalling as your
Skriniar was
five.
actually being looked at
It's
by...
not a bad selection.
Skriniar was being looked at by City.
Was it?
But he's going to be so much money.
rumoured. And then Aaron
Why
Wan-Bissaka
is
as well.
he looking at more? I suppose with company.
80 million
Company
was
quite
what...
old, no?
apparently 80 million has been a bid that City have put in and Milan rejected it.
I also think that, just to interrupt quickly, I think Atletico Madrid are going to go in for that Toby Alderweireld to the tune of £25 million. Obviously losing Diego Godin to Inter Milan on a free. They've also lost Luca Hernandez to Barcelona after they paid his buyout clause.
Silly, man.
Obviously he has played for Atletico in the past as well under Diego Simeone. I think that it'll be a very, very easy option for Atletico Madrid to go in and go, here's the 25. Whether or not Toby wants to leave the Premier League and the project Tottenham are building around Pochettino and the stadium remains to be seen, but I wouldn't be surprised to see that move happen. And I also wouldn't be surprised to see Liverpool going for him. Obviously, Joe Gomez had a great start to the season, but broke his leg. And, you know, Toby would be an upgrade on Joe Gomez, and he would be an upgrade on Matip, and he would be an upgrade on Lovren.
Would be disgusting.
So then, for 25 million, if you could bring him in and you could shift out Lovren or Matip, that's a great option to have.
I think Liverpool would be worried about stunting Joe Gomez's development, though, because when he has played, he has been superb. I think Joe Gomez does not need replacing when he's fit.
No, but equally, Alderweireld, I don't think can rock 50 games a season anymore.
Okay, so it's good to have two options. Okay, so it's Van Dijk, Gomez, or Alderweireld.
It's a great three.
It's fantastic.
And he's definitely an upgrade on Matip or Lovren. You could let one of those two go, maybe take a sort of £8 to £10 million fee for, and you're paying 15 million for Toby Alderweireld all in all to bring him to Liverpool.
Oh, the wheeler dealer.
That would be such a good move. I would be surprised if Liverpool don't do that. Talking of Liverpool, Boss Rillison says, can Naby Keita still work in Liverpool's system?
Yes. Obviously. I mean, until 2 weeks ago, I still have him down as probably the disappointment of the season in terms of what we're expecting from him and what he has actually delivered. He's found it a lot harder to get into that starting 11 than I thought he would be, but that is mainly, I think, because Wijnaldum has just had an incredible year, by his standards anyway. But I think Naby Keita, yes, he can still fit into that system. He obviously got that goal against Porto, deflected shot this week, goal against Southampton, but those were his first goals for Liverpool. And he looked pretty good in the first 5-6 games of the season, then got a back injury, and it seemingly took him quite a while to get back from that. But he is that midfielder in that Liverpool setup that can do just about everything to a really high degree, and he's still so young. I still think he's 23, 24. So yes, he can still fit into that system. I'd expect big things from him next year. I wouldn't rule him out as a flop just yet, although I do have a lot of Liverpool fans that are like, Doogie, why did you big up this guy so much?
No, I think deservedly so, because when he was in the Bundesliga, he was killing it. Like, he was ridiculous defensively and attacking wise.
One of the most elite dribblers in the whole of Europe last season. I mean, he was averaging 3.5, 4 dribbles a game.
Which is mental, especially when those dribbles as well are helping take the ball from the defence into the attack.
But you can also see why Liverpool fans were a bit annoyed. You know, there's been games this season when particularly remember Everton away from home at Goodison Park, where they're parked quite deep, and that is the game where Naby Keita breaks the lines, but he didn't get on pitch.
Yeah.
But I think as well, that's also because the midfield three of Liverpool have been fantastic.
Yeah.
Like Fabinho took him time, and look at him now, absolutely killing it.
Yeah, man.
I mean, the other worry maybe slightly have a Keita is once Ox is back, and if Ox starts again like he was before he got injured, and it's going to be a lot tougher then because he was fantastic.
Definitely.
I just think it's been.
Did you see the image of Ox's knee this week on social media? Bloody yeah, he's got this enormous. His knee looks like it's been through World War II.
Jeez,
that's
not
just
worrying.
But equally, their midfield options are deep.
Yeah,
you know,
fantastic.
James Milner, there's arguments whether or not he is or isn't out of contract in the summer. Some people reporting 2019 and a contract. James Pearce at the Liverpool Echo reporting 2020, which is why there's no urgency to renew. But even without Jimmy, you've got Hendo, you've got Naby Keita, Gini Wijnaldum, Adam Lallana, Fabinho, the Ox to come back.
I've also thought Klopp was kind of clever recently. He put obviously Henderson on the bench for the game against Southampton, brought him on. And Henderson, since he's been taken away from that Fabinho role, I think he's so much better as just this sort of all-action carnage midfielder where he can do a bit of everything. He can get into the box, proper box-to-box play. I think that's where he's at his best, when he's forced to sit deep and spray passes. It's not really his best parts of his game. So I've really enjoyed his sort of last 2 games. I thought he was great when he played against Porto and against Southampton as well. So Klopp has used these midfield resources really effectively this year, and hopefully they're peaking at the right time.
The next one was sent in by that guy who bids He says, should Yusuf Poulsen be considered for a top side in Europe considering his recent form, and who should Leipzig sign to replace Timo?
Ooh. I
What do you
mean,
reckon, Zaki?
Poulsen's actually been very good this year. He's got 15 goals in the league, which is more than Timo Werner. He has played more minutes, and Timo Werner does have more goal contributions. But as a finisher, he's been fantastic this year. He's kind of come into his own. Whether a top team is going to go after him, probably not. They'd rather... There's other arguably better options to go for. But someone trying to challenge for, say, the top 6, or in other leagues, say... I'm trying to think.
I mean, to challenge for I think he's too good to be in a team that's challenging for the top 6.
But I think he's not
Watford
good
or
enough.
Wolves, he's better than that.
But I don't think he's not good enough to, or he's not made his name well enough yet to make it into a top 6 side.
Do you know where I think would be a good option for Poulsen? 24 years of age now. He can play as a front man or as part of a 2. I think a club like Tottenham Hotspur, looking for Llorente replacement, can't guarantee every minute of every game, but need rotation because, let's face it, we all know Harry Kane's been overplayed this season and for the last 2
Surprised
seasons.
he's injured again.
That wouldn't be the worst option.
Yeah.
The trouble is Leipzig are not going to want to sell. Timo's off in the summer. They know that. His contract runs out next year. They need to cash in, and they're not going to want to lose both of their key front men. Poulsen has been incredible this season. I think you'll see when Nagelsmann arrives in the summer, when he moves to that back 3, which is very likely. I can't see Nagelsmann arriving and not introducing the back 3.
Especially with the players they've already got there at Upamecano and
Konate. But I just feel like he'll want to play that back 3 of Konate, Upamecano and Willi Orban. I don't think he'll want to shift away from how he's played at Hoffenheim. So I think he'll probably use the 2 up front again, which means he'll need to replace Werner and keep Poulsen. And I said this on a podcast the other week. We did a podcast on how to challenge Bayern Munich's dominance in the Bundesliga. I think that RB Leipzig, the Red Bull group, need to put their balls on the line and go all in for Luka Jovic. Luka Jovic is going to go to a Barcelona. He's going to go to a Real Madrid. If not this season, next season. RB Leipzig, if they're seriously talking about being contenders for a league title in Europe, need to put their balls on the line and go 50 million for Luka Jovic.
Did he play against
I can't see it
Benfica?
happening.
I can't see it. I think the trouble is he's going to go to Barcelona as a Luis Suarez replacement, and he's going to crush it there, and he's an incredible striker. But if you're really serious and real contenders...
No, you're right. You're right. I'd also say for another option for Poulsen, if Inter Milan lose Icardi this summer, he'd be a great signing for Inter Milan to work alongside Lautaro and Martinez, who I think has been pretty impressive in, when he's had to step into Icardi's shadow. The only thing is, I think Icardi's slightly f***ed it the last couple of months with his, going on this month-long hiatus. I don't know whether Real Madrid will no longer be interested in him, and I can't see him fitting into someone like a Barcelona style of play. And then in the Premier League, I think they're all pretty sorted for main out-and-out strikers for the clubs that he'd be interested in.
Higuain. Oh, yeah,
you can't sign any players.
For a year, no, wait for a year.
I don't know what Icardi has done. I think he's slightly ruined his chances of a Real Madrid one.
Because he's such a unique type striker as well.
I think it'll be fine though with Real Madrid. I think once he's got someone
I'm not so sure.
I think once he's got someone like Zidane, no.
But is Zidane going to want someone who's that uninvolved in build-up play? You see how involved Benzema is in bringing other players into his forward line, in particular the wingers. It's something that Zidane has made a key component of every side he's managed at Real Madrid. Does Icardi do that? He doesn't. So it would be a mix-up in style if Zidane wants to do that. And I would feel that Zidane would rather spend money on an Eden Hazard at 150 million than 100 on Maracard.
I'd go for Hazard, definitely. Yeah.
Let's talking of a few other managers. Wilkes134 says, Sarri or Emery at this stage, who's done a better job overall?
We actually had a little chat about this in the live stream yesterday, and if you're going PR-wise, Emery. But what does that even mean? Come on. I mean, Sarri started so well and was unbeaten for 11 or 13 games.
Yeah, but equally,
roughly.
Emery went on an incredible run.
No.
Emery went on a similar
Emery
run.
went on a 13-game unbeaten streak of midway through the season after having lost games, where the people already...
People like 22.
Yeah, I think it was a lot longer.
In all comps?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking Premier League.
But still.
I mean, I just think they're the exact same. I think Emery has done a better job though, in terms of taking Arsenal where they were last season to where they are now.
I agree.
Whereas Sarri has essentially done the same thing with essentially the same amount of players. the
but
exact same
Well,
players.
Emery didn't sign big though. Emery didn't get any defenders in really.
I mean, but
other than Lichtsteiner.
I mean,
And Socrates.
But was Socrates not a January signing last year? So he's
No,
improved.
he was in last.
He was in summer. Well, I think you look at Chelsea.
but the squad's different. Man.
They've plateaued across. He's not introduced any young players.
I'll have you know,
Who's
Ruben lost
struggled.
his cheek and Hudson-Odoi.
Okay, in the last 2 weeks, wow. You look at Unai Emery has progressed them from Arsene Wenger, which was always going to be a tougher job,
Yeah, of course.
taking over a longer-term manager.
Of course.
He's introduced Guendouzi at 19, consistently into the midfield, done really well with that. He's found a nice balance between Lacazette and Aubameyang going into next season. There's certainly less turmoil at the club.
But that's always how it's going to be. Like Chelsea, don't get me wrong when I say this, but Chelsea have had a past couple of 5-6 years where it's been Premier League titles, losing badly, manager's gone. Whereas Arsenal, it's been top four. Like there's a difference
So there's
in
less expectation.
Less expectation. Like Sarri's come in, and to be honest, him doing so well at the start is probably at a detriment to where he is now. Because of everyone, no one thought Chelsea would win the league. But then when Chelsea went unbeaten, everyone's like, actually.
To go back to the question at hand, I think both teams, if they got, I mean, it depends who finishes fourth, but if both of them have a run in the Europa League and finish fourth, either or of them, their bosses will say, job done.
Yeah.
At the moment, neither of them have had exceptional years. Emery's probably had the less chaotic year, but then as Zach says, it's about expectations. So I put them on a par.
I
if
agree.
We're going for Sarri versus Emery.
I agree. I mean, all I can say is good luck to Sarri next
Arsenal's
season.
away form is still horrific.
The only thing that's putting Sarri above him is getting to a cup final.
Cup final, and
See how far they go in the Europa.
I think we have this exact same conversation at the end of the season.
Yeah, if they finish fourth.
Once the Europa League's done and once the fourth spot is done.
Okay. Personal questions. Stuart Best says, who has the best/worst lunch in the FD office every day? Terrible question, Stuart, but we're going to answer it.
Depends what you're into, really. There's a sort of Nando's crew, there's a sort of fast food crew that kicks around, the George Wright,
And there's
the
the
James
meal deal
Waynes,
crew.
there's the meal deal crew as well, which I'm heavily involved in. Probably the leader of the meal deal crew, actually, if we had to put a leader on
I
it.
haven't seen you have a curry in a while.
I know, it's because I'm doing this vegetarian during the week thing,
Fair.
which is kind of ruining my lunches. But yeah, I mean, we sort of mix it up. You guys tend to go, you're quite big fans of tortilla, aren't you?
Get me a black card.
Oh, man, I'm a big fan of the bowl.
Yeah.
I'm not, because I feel when you have a burrito, it's like it's just a big mess, and I'm sure that's why people have it. So but I'm just like, let's take it out of the bread. Take it, very true.
There's too much of this.
Take it out of the bread, put it in the bowl. Give me a fork and a spoon. I'm happy.
That's Zach Gillard,
So
sorted.
good.
Yeah, I agree.
We don't have one a week. Like
Hamill, Pato and Sam tend to bring theirs own in.
Worst in the office. There's arguments to be made for the myth Sam Coffee.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Millad.
I'm
Oi.
Millad
Some of the
Mogadam.
smells Mills brings in.
The fish. Anybody who microwaves fish in the office
Or
environment.
broccoli.
It
banned.
should be banned. Millad is a
Oh
massive
my
culprit
God.
with that. But either way, that's pretty much the end of this episode of
There we
Sunday
have it.
Vibes. I really hope you enjoyed it. As we said,
Covered a
during
bit
it
of
and
everything.
throughout, make sure you get involved in the discussion, in the comments below, on Twitter, on Reddit, on Facebook, all of the usual places. Make sure you follow us all on social media. Gentlemen, what else is happening on the Football Daily Network this weekend? Jalab.
Ooh, FDFC, we currently have sevens having gone out on Thursday. Big game, especially after we lost last week.
Big game, big players.
Big game, big players. And also we had squad goals go out on Monday.
Yeah.
So check that out, or Tuesday in fact. Check that out and you can watch us shout at each other even more. If you enjoyed that little argument, make sure you watch that.
Nice.
Yeah.
EFD, Diggs?
EFD, go back and watch Friday's Continental Club. No idea about what we're talking about, but when I get back to the office, I'm about to send that tweet, so hopefully good topics. And go and check out yesterday's Stat Wars, the league between Obaseki and McCubbin. Tight game.
Bye.
See ya.